Let's make ravioli alla vodka from scratch. As always, ingredients will be in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to start by making the homemade pasta. This is a really easy process and I find it quite relaxing. Start with 400 grams of all-purpose flour, and I'm just going to use one of these eggs to make a little well for the eggs that I'm going to crack in the middle. The idea is to make it big and deep enough so that the eggs don't spill out. I'm going to add about a half teaspoon of salt, followed by 1 teaspoon or so of olive oil. I'm just going to start mixing this together. I'll whisk the eggs first just to break them up, then I'll slowly start bringing in some of that flour. I'll keep bringing in more and more flour until it starts to clump up. I'll then switch to my bench scraper to bring this together a little more, eventually switching to my hands, and I'll just start kind of pressing this together into a ball. I'll get rid of some of this excess flour, and I'm just going to start kneading the dough until it becomes smooth. It's going to look kind of ugly at first, but be patient and just keep working it. It should take about 15 minutes or so. Feel free to take breaks if your arm starts to get sore. And once it's nice and smooth, I'm going to wrap this in plastic and set aside to rest. While that sits, I'll go ahead and prepare the ricotta and spinach filling. So we want to use about 300 grams of raw spinach, but you can also use the frozen stuff if that's all you have. I'll chop this up a little bit. It'll make it easier to mix and to pipe into our raviolis. Then I'll add this to a pan and cook this stuff down. I'll add a little olive oil, and that's pretty much it. Transfer to a small bowl, and I'll add 150 grams of ricotta cheese, lemon zest, salt, pepper, and lastly, Parmesan cheese. I like to add the filling to a piping bag. It just makes it easy to apply later, but totally optional. You can also just use a spoon. I'll set this aside in the fridge until I'm ready to use it. Back to the pasta that has been resting, I'll remove the plastic and give it a poke. If it springs back, it's ready to use. I like to work in batches, so I'll divide this into fourths, flour my surface, and begin rolling this out. This process is much easier if you have a pasta machine, but people have been rolling this stuff out by hand since like the 13th century, so it's quite doable. I want to roll this out to the point to where I can see the color of my skin through the dough. And you can kind of see it here. This is ready. I'll trim this into a large rectangle. You can save all these little bits, by the way, to make more pasta, so don't think I'm just wasting it. This rectangle is about 5 inches by 16 inches or so, give or take. I'll take out my filling. I like to add about a tablespoon size dot, about 3/4 of the way up, giving them at least an inch or so in between. And what I'm doing here is applying a little water with a brush. Not too much, but this is going to help the pasta adhere to itself and give us a nice seal. I'll just flip the bottom over, try to avoid trapping any air, and I'll just start pressing this down in between each dot. Then I'll use my thumb to kind of push it away from the edge and try to make little circles out of each one. I like to use this pasta cutter that I have, but once again, it's not necessary. You can always just use a regular pizza wheel or even just a knife. I'll trim this up a little bit and just roll in between each one, creating perfect little raviolis. I'll repeat the same process for the rest of the dough, and that's really all there is to that. I'll just let these firm up a bit while I finish the rest. I love this vodka sauce, so I'm going to start by dicing 1 shallot and opening up 2 cloves of garlic. I'll leave the garlic whole for now, and I'll use a microplane to grate it right into the pan. Add oil to skillet, add shallots, then garlic. Let that cook down for a few minutes, then I'll add a half cup of tomato paste. Mix that in the best you can, allowing it to cook off some of that raw flavor. I'll add salt, pepper, and red pepper flakes if you want some spice. I'll add a touch more olive oil. Then I'm going to deglaze the pan with about 2 tablespoons of vodka. Be careful here as it will flare up on you. Let that vodka cook off, and I'm just going to add about a cup or so of heavy cream. Stir in the cream completely, then I'll grate in some Parmesan cheese, and this sauce is pretty much ready. I'll add my raviolis to boiling water. They only need a minute or 2. Then I'll actually just start moving these over right into the sauce, adding pasta water along with it. And that's pretty much it. To plate, I'll add a little fresh basil on top, followed by a little bit more Parmesan cheese, and voila! Once again, ingredients will be in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.